Yes, indeed.
Hello there, people. It is Sunday, the 3rd of February 2019. I'm working on my swing trading system, and I found a really awesome website that's going to help me out. It basically has the historical daily TSX highs. I'll link it in the description. However, here it is here. It's bigcharts.marketwatch.com. And it's sort of a bit of a hack where it'll show you the last bunch of days. But if you go up here and you actually change the URL to the date you're looking for, like let's say I'm looking for January the 3rd of 2019, you can just put the date up here, even though in the drop down it's not going to give you, it only gives you like the last 4 or 5 days. Now it doesn't have any filters at all, so you have to really keep track of the volume, but it basically goes just by percentage increase starting at the top. And you also have to watch because there's a lot of like ETFs and Series B, just like weird stocks with insanely low volume. Like this one has 436 shares sold on the day. So obviously you have to do your own filtering. However, it's allowed me the opportunity to sort of go back in time and look at the big winners early January. So I'm just compiling a more recent and accurate results of sort of watching these stocks throughout the 2 weeks following their big moves, and we'll see a good entry point. Hopefully, that's the idea, is to follow them for a few days after the big moves. And then it also gave me an opportunity to add a few things to my rules, one being no index funds or weird funds. So anything that's sort of like a Series C or some awkward stock or awkward situation, I'm just going to ignore them. And maybe avoid volume under 100K a day. So some of these that I signified in blue, they were fairly low trading stocks. So if I notice that these guys in particular just aren't doing anything similar to the other guys because their volumes are so low, I'm going to ignore them and stop tracking them. And then also I added a question about how to handle the same stock on multiple days. I think I'm just going to ignore them. So for instance, January 4th, GOOS was up 5%, but then January 7th, it was up 3.89%. So I'm not going to buy it again. So the first time it triggers, that's the time I'm going to start keeping track of it. And several of these had multiple days of hitting the market. I think TSGI was another one that sort of was high of day several days. So that just means it's continuing to go up for multiple days. So the first time it triggers for me, that's when I'm going to start paying attention to its action. And if it triggers again as a high a day, I'm just going to ignore it for the purposes of this chart anyway. So that's where I'm now, and I'm just going to keep plugging away at these numbers. All right, it's Monday morning, and I've completed this chart, which is just a bunch of numbers. I'll explain it and let you know what I've determined after review. So these are more recent stocks since finding that website where I was able to pull up the big winners. I went through and I filtered $20+ stocks only, big winners of the day, and I think I capped it at least 3.5% profit or percentage gained on the day. And then I just took any and all that applied and went through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 10 days. 2 days there actually wasn't any that fit the criteria. And then I put their next 10 days results, so for instance, Air Canada, biggest win was 6.29% on January 4th, and then the next 10 days it made 0.11%, lost 0.22%, made 0.41%, all the way down to the 10th day. And then I compared it to the actual market. So these numbers beside are how the market did on that same day, so that it's all relative. because really what we're trying to do is we're trying to beat the market. It doesn't matter if a stock goes up 10% if the market's up 15%. And then after doing all this all the way through, we have a daily tally of how these stocks did compared to how the market on average did, and then the difference between the two. So the first day, for example, after the biggest win, the stocks in question did an average of 1.73% the next day compared to the market average of 0.27. So that means that the stocks did a 1.01% better than the market the day after the stocks being on the biggest winner chart. And then continuing on through the whole history of each day. And what I found was, interestingly enough, the market during this 10 days was up 4.32%, and these stocks were up 5.22%, and the vast majority of the gain came almost right away in the first couple days. Interestingly enough, the stocks did 1.73% the day after, and then 1.20% the day after that, and then from there they definitely trailed off. You can see compared to the market averages, we're actually down, 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 down 5 days in a row before having some rebounds near the end. So there's essentially two ways to look at this. One is to get in the stock as quickly as possible after it has its up run. And then the other is to actually wait quite a ways. Like we're looking at, I don't even know. Like this is negative, this is negative, this is negative. You know, maybe the 8th day, the 9th day. We can see here 3 in a row that were positive. But this seems a little bit arbitrary to figure out that the 7th day versus the 8th day. I don't know if that's really going to be accurate across the whole history of the stock market. But what I'm going to do, because this is actually an interesting situation, the first group of stocks I looked at was in a terrible time where a lot of the stocks were dropping. This is sort of the opposite. This is in a trend, definitely an uptrend. Obviously, the market was up 4.3% during this time. This is huge, by the way. If you can beat the market by almost 1% over the course of 10 days, that's significant. So just something to keep in mind. So I'm going to run this once again, and I'm going to run it during a month that was fairly flat. So I'm going to pick sometime in 2018 when the market start to finish was fairly flat, and then I'm going to run the biggest winners against the market again. So this is going to be another day's work, I'm sure, but I'm going to start plugging away at this and show you the results.
Yes, indeed.